Hello team and welcome back to Winners and Losers, where we break down the latest and greatest World Cup action. Joining me in the studio to unpick Brazil's demolition of South Korea, it's McCubs, it's Henry. And after we've done that, we're going to look further down the road, aren't we, gentlemen, and discuss how Croatia might go about nullifying this irresistible attack. Rather you than me, Dalic, if that is even possible. But before that, let's start with some winners then. Who shone in this game for you, Henry?
Me first.
Kept you on tenterhooks there.
Yeah, what a gamble. No, listen, I mean, what a first half performance.
Unreal.
From Brazil. I mean, that attack is scary. Scary stuff that we witnessed there. Neymar coming back into it. They looked all right without him, bar that Cameroon side, which was completely switched out. I think we've seen when Brazil are at full strength, when Cheech is playing everyone he wants to play, they're going to be tough to lay a finger on in this competition. But yeah, Neymar, 1 goal, 1 assist. Wasn't it an assist? We're not quite too sure. 2 key passes, 3 shots. We thought he looked pretty good. They're quite clearly trying to get him towards that record, aren't they? Maybe played him a bit longer than I thought he would last on the pitch. But yeah, he's just got such a good supporting cast. Vinicius, what a performance as well. Once again, my favourite player, 1 goal, 1 assist. I mean, it's just his goal to relax that quickly and just wait for South Korea to move, knock it in. Then that assist to flick it over to Paqueta, who also, I think, unbelievable game. I mean, West Ham are so lucky to have Lucas Paqueta. I mean, you can see why Cheech has got him in the starting lineup. He had 75 minutes against Serbia, 45 against Switzerland, bench Cameroon, played pretty much the whole match here, didn't he, today? I mean, 89% pass accuracy, 1 goal, I think 3 key passes in this game, really dominating and controlling it from midfield. But everyone was getting involved. Even the defenders were involved in some of the goals, some of the passing. It just shows that they've got the ability to send anyone forward and make something happen. It was a really beautiful first half performance, not helped by the fact South Korea maybe went for it naively, as sort of McCubbin could illuminate more. But yeah, it was all about Brazil tonight.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, McCubs, you also want to talk about the attack. An attack which produced 18 shots, 7 of which up to regards as big chances.
Wow.
Ultimately producing an expected goals of 3.5. And we were discussing that beforehand, that's probably second or third best in the competition, I'd imagine, at this point. But do you want to discuss someone that Henry hasn't?
I mean, let's remember that there's a penalty in there as well. So it's not 3.5 from open play, but at the same time, that's still outrageous, especially when, pretty much all of that was in the first half. Like, I think if they'd gone for it in the second, it could have been 7 or 8, let's face it. Like, I was quite surprised they didn't. I kind of thought that Cheech would maybe swap things out at half-time, maybe even bring off Neymar before the 60-minute mark and just be like to Martinelli, etc. Just go for it. Let's get a cricket score up. Let's give the fans something to really remember. And let's not forget that Pele's in hospital right now. There was lots of tributes before the game. I think the assistant coach saying that wanted everyone to send a prayer to him. And I think, I don't know, there's something, we're all football romantics here. I know you're a big romantic about Brazil, Hamill. Like, that first half was a great tribute to, the kind of football that, the Pele era birthed. Like, and, couldn't have been a better tribute for the legendary player. I think everyone in that attack just played phenomenally. I think Richarlison continues to grow into this competition. He was just brilliant in that first half. Won the penalty, of course, but the build-up to his goal, where he's doing that, seal keepy uppy with dribble with his head. I think was it 3? Was it 3? I think he managed to get 3 in before laying it off to Marquinhos, and then Marquinhos and Thiago Silva linking up on the edge of the box to then put through Richarlison for that goal. Just fantastic. He created a couple of chances himself as well, and he just leads that press, doesn't he? You can't get away from him as a defender, and I think that's what Croatia, that's going to be one of the key elements of Croatia's game plan is how to stave off Richarlison when you're in possession, because he's just an absolute handful. But I think going back to, I know Henry mentioned him, Vinicius Jr., I think he is after Mbappe, the outstanding attacker in this competition. I just think he has been either Brazil's best player or second best player in every single game that he's played. As well as the composed finish, the cross for the kind of that looped cross for Paqueta's brilliant volley. He was so composed there. He really did take a second to be like, what are my options here? And then and again maybe I think the Korea backline gave Brazil too much space in general, but I think also you have to remember that there are, 4 world-class players all taking up different defenders, taking up different spaces. It is a backline's nightmare. Yeah. They really are. It's almost impossible to defend against.
And the balance of that forward line, who we're waxing lyrical about, just really nice, isn't it? You've got the names you've mentioned, but as well someone like Rafinha, who's probably taken a little bit more time to grow into the tournament, racking up great defensive numbers as well as those around him shine from an attacking perspective. Don't get me wrong, Rafinha still had 5 shots, but he also put up 6 tackles and interceptions. You've got Richarlison harrying defenders, as you highlighted there, while sort of Neymar and Vinny do their thing from a slightly more artistic perspective, let's say. The balance is just incredible, very on song. Our losers, obviously South Korea, but let's not beat up on them. They were up against a magical Brazil in that first 45, weren't they? What I wanted to ask you guys was, can Croatia sort of take heart from the way that Korea played in the second half, or maybe the way that Brazil took their foot off the pedal in the second half? I mean, after all, Alisson did have to make 5 saves in this game, a couple of them absolute showstoppers, and they conceded 8 shots in total. Caveat that with 4 being from outside the box, so low quality chances in general. But Korea still gave a good account of themselves in the second 45. Like McCubbin highlighted, they weren't quite their murderous best in the last 45.
It's a bit slightly weird game to analyse, really, because Korea suddenly had to go for them. Korea suddenly had to try and make something happen, and that's not going to... I don't think we're going to see Croatia have to do that. I mean, they were 2-0 down after 10 minutes. It's sort of your worst nightmare to be playing against Brazil. So really, I think Croatia just have to be more solid. I think off the bat, and they will do that. We've seen time and time again in knockout football that they can sort of dole down a game, get it to their tempo. And let's not forget, this Croatia side has got tons of players which I think Brazil will respect a bit more, certainly on sort of a name value, Modric, etc. in the middle. They've only lost once in the last 20. That's sort of a freak loss against Austria. They know what they're doing. And it was interesting. I had a look at their the victory they had against France in the Nations League when they got a 1-0 victory at the Stade de France and sort of played very sort of conservatively. They had Pulisic at the he was meant to be playing on sort of the right of a 4-3, but really he was playing in midfield. So they bulked out that midfield to sort of nullified what was actually a very strong French team at the time, I think, with Benzema, Mbappe and Kunku in the forward line. That's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to try and really sort of shut down Casemiro, Paqueta in the middle of the park to try and starve any service into that forward line. Neymar will obviously be dropping back in as well to do that job too. If they can try and dominate the middle of the pitch, then they can buy their time, frustrate Brazil and then go forward, because we saw this game against Korea, Brazil were able to express themselves and be flair and dance, whatever, because they just had such a comfortable time of it all. If you can just delay that for as long as possible, which I believe Croatia can do, they've obviously World Cup finalists 4 years ago, then yeah, I do think they have a chance. It's just, for me, the problem is where the goal was going to come from, because we saw Budimir not really good enough at this level. Petkovic had a horrible game just in the last 16, and yeah, Kramaric, I think he's all right, but I mean, unless he's got people around him, he's going to have a difficult time. So yeah, they just need to frustrate them for as long as possible.
Yes, at least Petkovic would provide Marquinhos and Thiago Silva with a slightly different problem than we saw today, although his physicality didn't really shine, it didn't really stand out against Japan, did it? In fact, he was okay off the ball, but pretty horrendous on the ball. McCubbs, can Croatia, like Henry said, take life from the fact that they have been defensively sound in this tournament, only conceded 2 goals so far, one against Japan, one against Canada. Having said that, not really faced an attack like this, have they? But we like the composition of their midfield. Lovren and Gvardiol have been bang at it. So, outlook for them? And how would you approach this game if you suddenly found yourself at the helm of the Croatia national team?
I mean, Brazil are going to win this game, I think. Who knew? But I think it will be a tight game, and yeah, like you guys have alluded to, you know, Croatia have been one of the most solid defences at this tournament. You know, they've held 2 teams to 0-0 draws, which, you know, again, it's not saying much about their ability to actually put teams to bed. And they, you know, Japan were arguably the better side for much of their clash earlier today. But I don't really think there's much more than what Henry said, really. I think it's really going to be about the middle of the pitch. It's going to be, cutting off the supply line to someone like Vinicius. And I think they have to play to their strengths in that sense. Croatia have one of the best midfield threes in the world. And I think they just need to... I think they have to employ that mid-block. And as soon as the ball comes to Casemiro, just have 2 players on him. The problem is, really, it's a fact of numbers, isn't it? Neymar is the kind of player who generally needs 2 players marking him. So is Vinicius. You know, Richarlison's there, you know, with his movement. Rafinha, you know, I think from a creative standpoint was as dangerous as he's ever been in the first half of this game. And Paqueta is, you know, can attack and defend in equal measure. So they do just have a really good spine to this team, just a really good balance, and that's not even to, you know, considering that Brazil are one of the best defensive sides of the tournament. I think what they can take heart of from, I guess, is in that second half when they did drop off a little bit. Korea were getting in behind quite a lot, and I guess that might be what they have to do. They might just have to go route one. They might have to just, you know, emphasise that, you know, maybe even try and stretch the pitch a little bit as well. But if they were to go for a back 3, have Borna Sosa, if he is back fit for this game, you know, really running the wing. I don't know. It's going to take some creative thinking, I think. But I think, the main thing is that they get into half-time 0-0. If they get into half-time 0-0, it's knockout football. You know, I know it's a cliche, but anything can happen.
Before you mentioned it there, we hadn't really discussed the defensive solidity of Brazil, had we? Only conceded their second goal in this tournament against Korea. And like you alluded to there, they were sort of only lax defensively because they found themselves falling up at half-time. I imagine the game management would have been much tighter had that not been the case. I was just taking a brief look at how they set up against Belgium there, Croatia. Still went with the back 4. Obviously managed to nullify an attack of Trossard, Mertens, De Bruyne. Not as star-studded as Brazil's, but still pretty good. So maybe they can replicate some of their approach from that game in the Brazil game. But I was also thinking Sosa left wing back, Juranovic right wing back, maybe bring Barisic in as a left centre back,
potentially,
or bring the experience. I was about to say,
get him back in,
Battleborn.
No, don't do that.
It's his last World Cup, Henry. Come on, you can't deny him a game against Brazil.
Oh goodness.
I'm sure Neymar would be licking his lips at the prospect of that. But yeah, at least Brazil are playing someone who are defensively much more stable. I think it's going to be a lot more. It's going to be a tactical battle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Other than that, Brazil pretty flawless. What do you lot think back home? How would you approach this game if you were Croatia? We want to know. Give us all your tactical nous in the comments below, and we'll hit you up in the first hour. Like this video, subscribe to the channel with notifications on, and we'll catch you in the next games. Goodbye.